Dr. Anthony Harper, blessed to be speaking with a member of Knesset in Jerusalem, MK Ohad Tal, and you're with the Religious Zionist Party.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Anthony, for having me.
It's a blessed time to talk with you, but also it's a sad time to talk about the rise of anti-Semitism. I want to start out, what are your concerns about the rise of anti-Semitism that we see on the college campuses and throughout the world?
You know, it's not just in college campuses. I mean, look at what happened only yesterday. Yesterday, when Prime Minister Netanyahu was giving his speech addressing the joint session of the Congress, just outside of the Congress, people were coming, demonstrating, of course, shouting, "Death to Israel, death to America," and burning American flags just outside of the Capitol. I think, you know, and also Netanyahu spoke about it in his speech, that anti-Semitism has always been. At the beginning, you know, Jews were accused of murdering Christian babies and kids to use their blood for the matzah bread for Passover, and that we were spreading plagues, and those the lies of the past. Now these lies have transformed to the Jewish state. Now we are being accused of apartheid. We are being accused of genocide. We are being accused of all kinds of lies, which has no connection to the reality. And I think people also has to understand that, you know, as Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs used to say, the chief rabbi of England used to say, that what starts with the Jews rarely ends with the Jews. And we are seeing that with our eyes. I mean, when they are shouting from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which is basically a call for the genocide of the Jewish people, but they're also burning American flags. At the same time, I think people has to wake up and realize that this is not just against the Jews. At the end of the day, they want to take down America. And we have to fight together in order to prevent them from succeeding.
Have any comments about the Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke to the members of Congress yesterday, and I know there were protesters in Washington, D.C. I know that in a specific, he talked about the protesters, and they really don't understand what river to the sea means. And what is your take about how that went?
First of all, I think that the speech was a great success. I think Netanyahu represented the Jewish people. He was not there just as Netanyahu. He was there as the leader of the Jewish people, standing on the most important stage of the world, in the Capitol for the first time. And I think that just the fact that for 53 times the people in the audience stood up for him and applaud, that brings a sense of pride, not just for Netanyahu, but also for the Jewish people. I think it sent a message that the alliance between Israel and America is and should be strong, because just as much as America supports Israel, Israel supports America and helps the American interest each and every day. As Netanyahu also explained in his speech, when we are fighting Iran, when we are fighting Hezbollah, when we are fighting the Houthis, when we are fighting all these evil, we are fighting for America. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I saw a video of the leader of the Muslim Brotherhood in Israel. His name is Sheikh Raed Salah, and he's serving Iran 100%. And he was asked, what's going to happen on the next day in Gaza? You know, everybody's talking about what's going to happen on the next day in Gaza. And he told his people that is the wrong question. He said the real question should be, what's going to happen in America on the next day? Because we want to take down America. And I think people should really realize that Iran want not only to destroy Israel, they want to destroy America. They see us only as the forefront of Western civilization in the Middle East, but their real goal is America. They call us the little Satan. They call America the big Satan. And this is why we have to join forces. We have to work together. And I think this is what Netanyahu basically did yesterday. He came and brought this message. We are strong. We have to strengthen this alliance between Israel and America. We have to work together because it serves both interests of both countries, and we have to do it together.
It was a powerful speech by Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday to the Congress. You know, I know there are some other serious issues to deal with. Also, I think about what happened about the missile, the Houthi missile that hitting the U.S. embassy in Tel Aviv. What has happened since that missile strike? I know that at least one person is dead, several people injured. What happens next regarding the Houthis?
Well, if you understand that this war, as you explained, it's not just with Hamas or with Hezbollah or with the Houthis, because they are all part of the proxies of Iran. Iran is orchestrating this whole thing. Netanyahu spoke about it as well in his speech yesterday. He explained that Iran is behind everything. They're sponsoring it. They're arming all these terror groups. They're directing them. And you know, the Houthis are not, again, they're not just threatening Israel. They're not just shooting rockets to Israel. They are blockading all the ships who are, they're harming the world. They are harming Europe. They're harming the world. They're causing serious problem to world's economy. And everybody will pay the price for that. And we have to understand, everybody in Western civilization has to wake up and realize that, you know, instead of just fighting with the arms of the octopus, we have to hit the octopus on its head. And that is Iran. That's the evil regime of Iran. And, you know, I know that in Western civilization, we don't like to look for fights. You know, we are happy, you know, paying in order to get peace and quiet. It doesn't work anymore because our enemies, they don't want peace and quiet. They want to destabilize the world. They want to take down America. So we have to wake up. We have to hit them on the head. And, you know, 80% of the people in Iran, they hate the regime themselves. I mean, they're suffering from the hands of this evil regime. So if we will take down the regime, we will not just help America and Israel. We will help the Iranian people also. Taking down this evil regime who try to destabilize the world, that is what will actually bring peace and prosperity and stability to the Middle East, but to the whole world, not only to the Middle East. Because but trying to, you know, and this is what I've seen from Biden administration, trying to take away the sanctions against Iran and trying to make a deal with the regime, that will not help. That will not contribute to peace, prosperity, and stability. That will do exactly the opposite.
Okay. Well, very, very challenging issue to deal with. Israel, surrounded by enemies. Iran, as you said, is a real culprit in this matter, and I know that Russia has really been kind of enabling Iran in this situation. So there are a lot of serious issues. So many things that need to be dealt with. But I think about also the pressure on Israel to accept a Palestinian state as well. It's been really troubling, the rise of people calling for Israel to divide up its land. And would you say a majority of Israeli people don't support giving away Judea and Samaria or having a Palestinian state in the heartland of Israel?
I think people who are offering this kind of direction, they don't understand what is happening. They don't understand the reality for what it is. I mean, of course, thank God, the vast majority of Israelis rejecting the idea of the two-state solution, so-called two-state solution. Only last week, an historic vote was happening here in the Knesset when 68 members of the Knesset voted against the two-state solution, against the Palestinian state, not now and not ever, against only 9 members of the Knesset, which voted against this resolution. So yes, the vast majority of the people in Israel rejecting this idea, and I think that every person with a little brain in his head should reject this idea. I mean, Israel wants peace more than anything, and for 30 years, we are doing everything we can in order to achieve peace. Actually, it's more than 30 years. It's since the partition plan in 1947 that we were willing to accept compromises and giving parts of our land to the Arabs, hoping that that will achieve peace. This is what we've tried to do in the partition plan. This is what we've tried to do in the Oslo Accords 30 years ago. This is what we've done in 2005. In 2005, we withdraw from the Gaza Strip. We gave it all to the Palestinians. Billions of dollars were invested in Gaza. They could have made it to the Singapore of the Middle East, but instead they chose to invest all this money in terror infrastructure, in underground tunnels, in missiles, in making Gaza to the biggest terror nest of the world. This is what they have done. So what? I mean, if that was a success, I could understand, but that wasn't a success. So now you want to take this again, effectively a state, a Palestinian state, which we gave them in Gaza, and now we want to take this brilliant success and expand it to the whole area of Judea and Samaria, just a few kilometers from Tel Aviv, from Ben Gurion Airport, from Jerusalem. I mean, according to all the polls that were conducted in the Palestinian Authority by Dr. Khalid Shkaki, a Palestinian is not an Israeli. Over 80% of the Palestinians today supports Hamas. Over 70% justify the massacre of October 7th, saying that if they would have a chance, they would repeat it tomorrow again. So do you really think that giving them a state that will bring more peace, more stability, more prosperity to anybody? No, of course not. The meaning of that is just allowing Iran to have another front base at the heart of Israel, at the biblical land, which is the land of the Jewish people. So we are giving up our rights for the land. We are giving them to build a terror state at the heart of Israel, and we are rewarding terror, because after October 7th, the message that we will send by establishing a Palestinian state is that you use terror. You've butchered 1,200 of our people. You've kidnapped 250 people. You've burned our families. You've burned babies. You raped our women. You beheaded our men. And now, as a reward, you would get a state. What message do you think it would send? I mean, who would pay the bill for that? Everybody. America will pay the bill for that, because it sends a message to fundamentalist Muslims all over the world, that if you would use terror, you get exactly what you want. So does anybody with a brain in his head really thinks that will bring peace? Of course, it's an absurd. We have to realize, wake up from this hallucination, realize the threat, and realize that giving them more pieces of our land will not bring peace and stability. Will only do the opposite.
Very troubling issues. So troubling. I also think about what's been happening internationally with the International Criminal Court about an arrest or a warrant or arrest for Prime Minister Netanyahu. That is shocking that this criminal court would put Prime Minister Netanyahu in the same category as he would Hamas and consider Israel a threat. How would you respond to the International Criminal Court, their warrant for the arrest?
Yeah, well, I think you've said it very accurately. I mean, this is hypocrisy and this is anti-Semitism, like never seen before. I mean, they're accusing us of committing genocide in Gaza. They're accusing us in the starvation in the Gaza Strip. Well, when all the facts contradict exactly that. I mean, even if we would take the numbers of the Palestinians who are claiming that they have 40,000 dead in Gaza, we know that we have killed about 20,000 Hamas soldiers and Islamic Jihad and Hamas soldiers, 20,000. So even if they really have 40,000, which I doubt, but let's say that they are right, it means that the ratio of civilian casualties is 1-to-1. This is of unprecedented in any warfare, in not just in modern history, in all of history. No other country went to a war and got to this ratio of civilian casualties. And Israel is doing everything it can to minimize. We don't want to harm anybody. But I want to remind everybody, we didn't initiate this war. War is bad. War is horrible. We didn't initiate that. Before October 7th, when we didn't went out to butcher their families, they did that. They penetrated to our villages. They raped our women. They butchered our whole families and burned them alive. This is what they've done. So we have to respond. We have to bring back our hostages. They took 250 people, including babies and women and children and elderly to Gaza. So what, do they expect us to ignore that? We don't have the right to defend ourselves? So if they're using their own people as human shields, you know that at the beginning of the war, we have designated safe zones in the Gaza Strip. And we made millions of phone calls. And we've sent leaflets and text messages to everybody in Gaza, telling them, go to the safe zones. You know what happened? Hamas were shooting their own people, preventing them from going to the safe zones. Our soldiers were risking their own life in order to protect the civilians of Gaza, risking their lives. They were shot by Hamas. So if somebody is not happy with the number of dead in Gaza, go to Hamas. Ask them. You know that there are more trucks with food entering Gaza now than before the war. We are sending more food and more supplies and more humanitarian aid and more everything they need, more than before the war. If there's anybody which is hungry in Gaza, go to Hamas. They're taking the food to themselves, preventing their own population from getting it. So again, we didn't initiate the war. We think war is bad. But as long as that is what it is, if people are not happy with the situation in Gaza, go to Hamas. They're the only one to blame for that. The war can end tomorrow. If they would surrender and lay down their arms and bring back the hostages, the war will end the second later.
I think about what Prime Minister Netanyahu said about this matter of Hamas stealing the food on these trucks that are coming into Gaza. So, a comment about Hamas's theft of what is being delivered into Gaza.
Yes, 100%. Again, as I said, there are more trucks with food entering the Gaza strips today than before the war. Unfortunately, Hamas is taking possession of all this supplies and preventing his own people, because they don't care about their own people. They don't care. Hamas, they don't care about the number of casualties in Gaza. As I said, they're shooting their own people. That's the reality. So I think the world should wake up also about that and realize what is the reality, and pressure Hamas, pressure Qatar, who are influencing Hamas, to stop the war, to bring back the hostages, to lay down its arms. And I tell you, this is the only thing that will really help the Palestinians in Gaza.
So there's a lot to deal with here. A lot of people praying for you, and just wanted to relay the message from a lot of Christian people in America that they're praying for safe relief of the hostages very soon, healing for the hostages, as well as all the family members in comfort, and of course, defeat of all of Israel's enemies in this very perilous time that what Israel has been going through, especially since October 7th. I've talked with the first responders, you know who Zaka is, the search and rescue people. And I heard all the horror stories. So it is very upsetting. And so really need to, make it clear about the Christian support for Israel as never before. Hopefully, the U.S. will be fully supportive for forever here on the matter of Israel. I think of a Jewish couple of Jewish scriptures about the blessings for those that bless Israel and the curses of those that curse Israel from Genesis 12:3. And I also think about the warning about dividing Israel from the prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 2, about God entering into judgment in the valley of decision, right in front of the Temple Mount, against those nations that scatter his people, divide up his land. So there are a lot of people praying for you and for all of Israel in these very difficult times, and praying for that victory for Israel.
So thank you very much, Anthony. And I want to convey a message through you to our brothers and sisters, the Christians in America who are praying for us. First of all, we thank you and we appreciate your prayers. And, you mentioned Genesis and Joel. So I want to also mention Isaiah. That, the Jewish people, we came back to our homeland after 2,000 years of exile. And we established this state of Israel. Which again, we reestablished the state of Israel in our homeland after 2,000 years, but we didn't do that only for ourselves. We are here. The Jewish people came back to its homeland, as the Bible said, as all the prophets have promised us, but not just for our sake. We are not doing that for ourselves only. We are doing that for the sake of humanity. Isaiah said that at the end of the days, the temple will be established at the peak of the mountains, and all nations shall stream to it. For my house shall be a house of prayers for all nations. That is the vision. That is the vision that we are trying to serve. We are here, as I said, not just for ourselves. We are here for the sake of humanity. We are here for the sake of all the nations gathering to Jerusalem and serving God. That is the vision. This is why we are here. So yes, when you are praying for us, you are blessed by that. You are blessed by that because you are strengthening us. You are helping the Jewish people fulfill its purpose, and that is, again, as I said, to serve God and to serve humanity. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for staying with us.
It's so wonderful to talk with you, Knesset member Ohad Tal, about these crucial issues, and. Are there special websites that you would like to refer people to for more information about your concerns?
Well, you can always, everybody's invited to Google me. I'm on Twitter and on Facebook. And according to what my advisors are telling me, I even on TikTok and Instagram. But of course, if you want to follow me on TikTok, on Twitter and on Facebook, that will be great, and I'll be happy to also communicate with people through these networks and also share my messages with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, MK Tal, for all that you're doing here for Israel, and continue to pray for blessings for all of you there in Israel. And we know eventually there will be peace. But I know there's a lot to go through before then. So once again,
thank you very much. And I want to also say that in September I'll be again. I'm traveling a lot to America, and in September I'll be again in New York for the Jerusalem Prayer Breakfast, and everybody is welcome to join me there. I'll be there together with the former ambassador to Israel, David Friedman. And we'll be there together, and everybody is welcome to join us in praying for the peace of Jerusalem.
Well, thank you, MK Tal, for all that you do there.